ださい。寒いなあ。寒いなあ。そちらも寒いのでは？寝てくださいね。ショート。ささやき系。いや、家族も寝てるもんで。じゃあ、ファースト、チョリー、やっていきます。寒いですよ。寒いよね、そちらね。ちょっと衝動的に買っちゃったんで、あれですけど。これ、チャットダウンロードして。チャット。ささやき系。需要ないな。なんか、ねえ、アイリスちゃん元気？大丈夫か？キツネかな？
Are you awake? I thought I heard you get up.
Get up.
Yeah, I'm awake. Sorry, I just can't sleep.
Are you thinking
私、元気よ。
about him?
Yeah, a bit.
元気元気。
You should get back to sleep, my love. I'm fine.
あ、ジャンプできる。
No, it's okay. What else is on your mind?
ちょっと待ってね。
I don't know.
ちょっと待ってね。字幕を入れねば分かれないです。あ、ほんと？イエイしてる？あれ、バイク乗ってんの？もう季節があれかな？冬だから、雪積もってる？分かってない。これでいいとかな？セッティング。明日もちょっと予定はあるんですけど、なんかやりたいなと思ってやってきます。
Hi, my name is David Whaley, and I'm the creator of The First Tree. I also voice a character named Joseph. So I just wanted to introduce you to this commentary mode, tell you that you can find interesting things about how I made this game by touching the speech bubbles you see in the world. So I hope you enjoy it.
愛車の名前は？これ続けれるかな？
Are you awake? I thought I heard you get up.
起きてるの？
I'm awake. Sorry, I just can't
いや
sleep.
ごめん、なんだか眠れなくてさ。
Are you thinking about him?
Yeah, a bit. You should get back to sleep, my love. I'm fine.
うんうん。
No, it's okay. What else is on your mind?
I don't know. It seems weird, but I had one of the most vivid
こ
dreams of
れ
my
夢み
life.
たいですね。
I saw a fox on a snowy mountain, just looking confused and worried. Those
探
eyes.
し物が
I
ある
can't
の
get
かな？
those eyes out of my head.
Ah,
She was
光
running
が
in the windy snow,
あるから、
looking for something.
Do you think it has to do with you and
光の
what's been
元に
going
行きま
on?
す。
I don't
走っ
know.
たりしちゃったり
It was
して。
just a dream, Rachel. They're not meant to make sense. A lot's happened the past couple days, that's all.
Well, if you're
え、ア
not
イ
going
リ
to
スちゃん
sleep
ちの
anyway,
さ、
you should
猫
tell
ちゃんの
me.
名前なんだっ
I
け？
want to hear.
黒猫ちゃんの。
All right.
あ、こっちから行けないんだ。眩しいな。 のんびりね。真夜中なんでのんびりやっていきますよ。登れるかな。はい。わ、登れた。ジャンプジャンプで登れたよ。頑張れ頑張れ頑張れそうだそうだ。クマって言うんですよ。猫ですけど。じゃあこれタヌキにしようかな。なんて名前がいい？怖い怖い。ちょっと待って。怖かった。タヌキでいい？このにキツネ。何がいい？リスがいい？クマちゃん。
I'll try not to spoil too much since a lot of this game ties into the very last act,
タヌ
which
キ
is
で
the
いい？
epilogue, I
バカ
call
し
it.
合い。
But you'll notice there's lots of items around, and that's kind of what the first tree is
じゃ
about,
あタ
is
ヌ
like
キチにする。
exploring
タ
this
ヌ
land
キチ。
and trying to figure out why they're there, what they were used for, and it's kind of explained that this is a dream for Joseph, but it's something different, and it's not supposed to be like your average dream. It's supposed to be something a little deeper. So pay attention to all the items that are around and try to figure out how they tie into the story. I'll try not to spoil too much since a lot of this game ties into the very last act, which is the epilogue, I call it. But you'll notice there's lots of items around, and that's kind of what the first tree is about, is like exploring this land and trying to figure out why they're there,
タヌキチ。
what they were used for, and
名
it's
前の
kind of
センスが
explained
古
that
い
this
と
is
か
a dream
受け付
for
けません。
Joseph, but it's something different, and it's not supposed to be like your average dream. It's supposed to be something a little deeper. So pay attention to all the items that are around and try to figure out how they tie into the story.
これを聞きに来ただけなのかな。なんかストーリーって言ってた。これさ、いちいちさ、字幕つけなきゃなの？そんなことないよね。ごめんね、ちょっとわからなすぎて。いや、戻るだな。何もわからず始めるっていう。でもさ、ストーリー分かってないのにさ、始めちゃダメだよね。まあいいか。世界を楽しもう。無駄にジャンプしちゃったりして。散歩しよう、散歩。これに交流、これにさ、攻略するストーリーとかあんのかな。何も考えずに癒されそうだなと思って、癒してくれそうだなと思ってさ。ほら、タヌキチ。グラフィックかわいいよね。あ、写真撮っとこう。死んでんの？操作がわかんない。ちょっと待って。なんだっけ。
So, not far from her home,
ほうほう
she
ほう。
followed that path to something unexpected.
字幕がついた。よしよし。タヌキチ。待って。この子は？おーい。おーい。
So it's usually at this point where people say something like, "This is not the kind of game I was expecting." And that happened a lot at PAX West when I showed it. We'd have little kids play it, but then they see a dead fox cub, or a kit is technically the word, but cub sounds, I don't know, it sounds better.
寝
Like
てるのかな。
Wes Anderson
寒いよ
uses it
ね。
in Fantastic Mr. Fox, so I thought cub would be alright. But anyway, having this game, I wanted it to be more serious. This game is based on dealing with the death of my father, which was the hardest thing that's ever happened to me and my family. But I don't want to talk about it here,
タヌキが
and
ね、タヌ
I
吉
didn't want
が
to talk about it with
お
anybody
母ちゃんな
really
んだと思う。
to this day still. It's very
男の名
personal.
前つけ
And
ちゃっ
that's
た
why I
け
made
ど、
this game. That's
お
exactly the
母ちゃん
reason.
なんだと思う。
Because I wanted to get those feelings out and like communicate with people without like talking about it. And so that's what the first tree is. It's me dealing with my feelings, and it was a personal project, and it was just me, and it actually, like, I'm really glad I made it, but it wasn't easy to make, I guess is what I'm saying.
よいしょ。まあね、散歩と思って。どうにかできないのかな。これがズームアウト、ズームイン。そのままにしていけるの？とりあえず道なりに行ってみよう。たぬみ？
She couldn't stay though. She had to find her other two children.
他の2匹の子供たちも探さなきゃならなかった。
She followed it towards something ancient.
とりあえずもう1匹
Something
探
with
す。
answers.
あ、ちゃんと道になってた。たぬみ。いやでもたぬ吉がいい。たぬと来たら吉だもん。たぬと来たら吉よ。それは。アイリスちゃん。メモしといて。
The fox looked high and low, searching for any sign of her
子
cubs.
供たちの痕跡を。
Points of light
たどるわ
showed the
け
way
ね。
to this ancient tree.
ほんほんほん
It
ほん。
was as if each one had a story to tell, all their own. The land was trying to tell my story too. I felt like I was right behind her the whole time.
これを追っていくみたいよ。あっちにもあるね。あ、じゃあストーリー通り進まないとわかんないかもしんないね。ウサギがいるよ。
The bunnies were added
寝落ちしてく
because
だ
my
さい。
wife, Elise, who also voices Rachel in the game, who's also helped a ton to make the game, as we were playing, she just said the world felt kind of empty and not alive enough. So I knew we needed to add some kind of life, and so the bunnies was like the first idea that came to mind. And like most of the game, I used like, publicly available assets to speed up production because I was working full time along with making this game, and we just had our first baby, a little girl named Evelyn. So I was messing with this asset called Herd Sim, and at one point, like the generation script that creates variations of the sizes of the bunny. One time I got out of control and it made like this monster bunny that towered over everybody. And I shared that GIF on Imager and Reddit, and that was a huge hit. It helped definitely gain an audience for this game. But it's hard because this game is like so serious about life and death, not giant bunnies. But I knew I needed something, like a shout out to that, because it was pretty fun. So if you're able to catch all the bunnies on this map, I think there's around 13, then you'll get a special surprise. So good luck.
多分ね、これはね、アーカイブには残さないから。たぬきちお母さんキツネの物語。キラキラを集めるんだろうな。多分ね、逆走してる気がする。寝てください。なんかグラフィックいいよね。癒されるよね。全くね。ここ掘れワンや。どうやって掘るんや。ボタンを
As a kid, did you ever do show and tell in your class?
Yeah, I think I only did it once, when I was in the 4th grade. You know how my life was around then. I wanted to show my class what helped pass the time and distracted me, so I brought a dozen paper cranes I had made. I think I told everyone how badly I wanted to be a bird and fly, embarrassingly enough.
Don't be embarrassed. Every kid wants to fly. For me, it was another toy from my dad, a wooden boat. I remember guarding it so carefully in my hands as I walked into class. When I sat down, a group of boys immediately made fun of it. They asked which trash can I found it in, or why an ugly log was my favorite toy. When I got up, I didn't even want to tell them my dad had carved it. I said it was a joke gift my friends had given me.
Kids can be so cruel.
Some of them are. I shouldn't have let them get to me, but it did. It's amazing we bounced back at all.
Yep. 見てね。なんかね、ジャンプしたくなっちゃう。雪ちゃんと見たことないんだよね。綺麗だね。文房具だ。またここ掘れワンや。さっきどうやって掘ったっけ。 A
Do
ボ
you
タン。
remember what my dad did for a living?
Wasn't he like a lumberjack?
That's one way of putting it. If wood was a canvas, then a carving knife was his paintbrush. Even after working a 50-hour week, even after his hands were more splinters than skin, he would bring home the nicest piece of Alaskan weeping cedar and make me toys. That wooden train was the first toy I can
木と
remember,
か
and I
扱う
loved it.
人は手がね、
I
大き
just
いよ
knew from a
ね。
young age I was going to be a lumberjack, like my
こ
father.
れになるって確信してたんだ。でもね、お散歩、この世界のお散歩がすごい楽しいよ。よし、行こうか。いや、光はいいのかな。もうね、方向音痴だから好きに行きます。あ、光がある。バックバックバックができない。ジャンプいいね。はい、取り逃がしちゃったかも。いいみたい。楽しい。もふもふやたぬきち。
Usually those kids would leave me alone, but somehow they could tell I was different. They made fun of how far away I lived. They called my dad a sourdough. I was a blabbermouth as a kid, telling my dad stories I made up for hours. But after that show and tell, I didn't tell him much anymore. He didn't know exactly what was wrong, but his best guess was that the toys he carved weren't cool enough. He carved me a tank and tried to tell me what it was like to be in a real tank as a serviceman.
I didn't know your dad was in the military.
Yeah, in the army. The sad thing is that I'd pretty much forgotten until just now. There's so much I still don't know about him.
I'm sorry. He knows how much you love him. You're going to see him again soon and have some closure, I'm sure.
A lot of people have gotten confused why Joseph's father is called a sourdough, and it's not stated outright at the beginning of the game, but Joseph and his dad, they grew up in Alaska.
プラスか。
And I don't have a real connection to Alaska except through friends who lived there, and it was also the place that me and my dad were gonna go right before he passed away. But I love the idea of Alaska being like this beautiful solitary place. But anyway, what that has to do with sourdough is it's an Alaskan slang term about like someone who lives in the backwoods, like a redneck in Alaska. So I thought that was just to put some authenticity into the game. I added that
これが
word.
木で作ってくれたっていう おもちゃの大きいやつなのかな。ジャンプジャンプ。よいしょ。頑張れ頑張れ。あ、怖い。なだれないで。なだれがたらどうしよう。あ、猫助さんこんばんは。こんな夜中にちゃんと睡眠をとるのです皆さん。お、よいしょ。これルートじゃないのかも。たくさんこの光をたどっていくんでしょうけど、ルートが違うかも。ルートかな。ちょっと険しかったね、ここ。怖いね。落ちそうね、猫助さん。ここにキラキラないよね。なんか怖いね、高くて。あ、みかんちゃん、すやー。寝てください。3時じゃない、1じゃない。おかしくなってる。なんかね、9時にね、9時過ぎかな、寝ちゃって、ちょっと一旦起きたんだけど、やっぱり眠たくなっちゃって。いいね。どっちが近いのかな、距離感がさ、わかんないな。こっち遠そうだから、こっちから行こう。今2時でしょ。なんかもう明日もさ、予定があるから、寝ずにやるか、ちょっと落ち着くまでやるか、こんな感じで。皆さんまだゲーム中なのでは。金曜だし。ジャンプ。いいなこのゲーム。英語わかりません。一応ね、字幕がついてるから。キラキラがあったね。よし。たぬきちと申します。あ、本当？楽しいよね、みんなで遊ぶのね。私はお散歩してますの。お母さんギツネのたぬきち、なんかもう複雑すぎてわかんないけど、そんな感じです。ありがとうアイリスちゃん。みかんちゃんおやすみ。かわいい。猫助さんも猫飼ってるし、アイリスちゃんも猫飼ってるし、猫派が多いのかもしれない。よいしょよいしょよいしょよいしょよいしょよいしょよいしょ。アイリスちゃんちのね、クマもね、すごくかわいい。 黒猫ちゃんです。アイリスちゃんも寝てね。最後まで付き合わなくていいよ。いつ終わるかわかんないから。でもさ、向こうにもあるんだけど。なんか男の人の記憶をたどりてるのかな。パパとの記憶かな。じゃああったかくして布団に潜ってみてください。あれ、季節が変わったね。かわいい。ダーウィンとか見ちゃう。ダーウィンとかね、私ね好きなんだ。あ、矢蓋さんこんばんは。ご機嫌うるわしゅう。こんなお時間に課題終わりましたか？12月はね、学生の皆さん忙しいからレポート提出したり、後期の試験があったり。ここほれはん。
My teenage years were full of sketching, angst, and trouble. I wasn't popular or unpopular.
今起きちゃ
Maybe
いま
just
した。
forgettable. I guess that gave me a sense of freedom. So I hung out with crazy kids,
布
doing
団
crazy
かぶっ
things,
て目つぶっ
even
た
though
ら
I
寝れ
mostly
るから。
just watched the chaos ensue. We did it all. Put
休むと
fireworks
き
in
は休んで
mailboxes,
ください
hide
ね。
roadkill in people's garages, break windows of the barber shop in Anchorage. My dad was furious, but he was so busy working he couldn't do much to stop me from going out.
金曜の夜だから、
I
矢
think
蓋
being
さ
an
ん
adult means
配信
there's
日な
no
の
one
で
to
は。
stop you making hard decisions. He
DVD の
had to make a living, and he couldn't be in two places at once.
Yeah, I realize that now. But at the time, I was sure he was more interested in growing his business than what was going on with me.
お父さんとのことかな。そう、アイリスッピです。アイリスッピを紹介すると CG、レインボーシックス CG がとっても上手です。めちゃめちゃに上手です。
I always wanted this game to be very meditative and relaxing, but I know there's a balance between keeping the player's interest. So I added this butterfly jumping mechanic just to like spice things
Jumping!
up. I used a plugin called Playmaker for Unity, which in a visual editor lets you do interactive things, which is perfect for me because I do come from a film and design background. But on the flip side, I really wish I was good at code because this jumping mechanic, the jumping mechanic in the whole
Jumping
game
ができない。
actually has frustrated a lot of players. But hopefully I've been able to fine tune it, so it should feel a lot better now. I would just hate that this meditative game would get frustrating, so I've definitely I've lowered the gravity, I've made the jumps more consistent, so hopefully people can just focus on the world and the story.
戻れ戻れ。一回行こう。矢蓋さんはね、とってもね、絵が上手なの。でね、チェイスもうまいんだよ。取れたそうだったね、アイリスちゃん。最初 P がついてなかったもんね。P に縛られなくていいんだよ。ナイスキャッチ。やっとだよ。パトター。うちの親戚の子供がパトカーのことをパトターって言って、 めちゃめちゃにかわいい。P が増えるかな、でもアイリスちゃん。
He was working another late night, and my friends were over, saying how bored they were and how they'd come all the way out to my house for nothing. One of them mentioned how that old, ugly beyond belief truck was still in the garage, and how we should take it for a spin. I was only 15, so I kind of fought it for a while. The next thing I knew, we were careening around the mountain path, rocks spitting onto the sides of the cliff, while my dad's cringeworthy bluegrass blared out the speakers. I drove while my friends were in the back of that yellow and purple truck, throwing beer bottles and trash at anything remotely interesting. Felt like I was soaring in the air with borrowed wings. But all good things have endings. A cop outside of Eagle River pulled us over after he saw us in a bottle rocket into someone's yard. What followed was a long night of talking to disappointed adults and feeling smaller than ever.
今はピッピって呼ばれてるね。めっちゃ P が多いじゃん、そっちの方が。ピッピ。あ、コマさんこんばんは。真夜中にありがとうございます。お散歩してます、キツネで。あ、キツネなんですけど名前はタヌキチということになりましたので。どこで？よいしょ。皆さん夜起きてるんですね。ほっ。こっちから行こう。ロケット花火だ。
This is the level that I showed at PAX West, which was a crazy dream come true that this hobby project was being shown next to all these amazing indie games. So I decided to show this level because it's smaller, there's like some jumping puzzles, and I thought it was a good entry into the game. But the one thing I can't seem to forget is right before we opened to the public, there was an indie dev superstar. Like, you've definitely heard of his games. And I was like terrified. He wanted to try it out. So I said, of course, like, please give me your feedback. And he was super nice, super talented, of course. But this embarrassing bug happened, which I've never seen before in my life. Where when he dug the item up, he jumped right after. And it created the dust cloud to permanently be on the rest of the level. It wouldn't turn off. So it looked like this fart cloud following the fox as it just kept running with this beautiful music and serious voiceover. And it was horrible. I think about that every time I look at this level. But, you know, I was able to fix it, so I'm glad someone could at least find that bug.
トントンだ、トントン。再チャレンジしていきます。ね、騒いだら眠れなくなっちゃうよね、みんながね。できるだけしっとりやっていきますね、迷惑かけんごと。いて。コマさんありがとう。おやすみなさい。難しい。なんか距離感が難しいな。もふもふもふ。もふもふもふ。 感じなのでは。あっち側に行くか。はい、デイさんおやすみなさいだって。あ、ナイスありがとうね。あ、キラキラがあったよ。あっちから行くんだ。蝶々のところもう一回行っていいかな。一回来てるんだけど。難しいぞ。トントン。なるほど。あれ、ちょうちょいなくなっちゃった。もう一回連れてこよう。こうやってジャンピングって言ってたのか。もうコメント打たなくていいからね、ちゃんと。難しい。普通にやってみる？あ、いけたいけた。ほっほ。行こう。登ろうね。トントントン。オッケー、いけた。トントン。難しいぞ。勢いつけていく。トントントントン。から行くのね。はい。トントン。順調。蝶々がたくさんいるね。わっ、ちょっと待ってね。こっちから来て、崖なんだけど、向こう側から行く？こっちから行く？降りてみよう。よいしょよいしょ。降りてみて。怖いよね。降りれるかな？お、あ、みさちゃんこんばんは。きつねたぬきちと申します。
After he drove me home from the police station, I blew up at him, saying how I never wanted to be like him, how I was gonna be someone and leave that hick icebox for good. He just looked forward at the road with tired eyes. I took out that bluegrass tape from the cassette deck and chucked it out the window. In my sage teenage wisdom, I thought I'd prove the ultimate point. But my dad had a different idea. He slammed the brakes, slowly
Yeah,
bowed his
koi ka
head
もしんない。
while gripping the steering wheel.
なんか思い出を
And finally
振り
looked
返っ
at
て
me.
おります。
All he said,
お父様
like
と
it was
の
a polite request,
ごめん
was, "Make this right." I sat there in silence, fuming, but I eventually got out and combed every square inch of the woods, muttering profanity after profanity. I found it 30 minutes later, near a small waterfall off the road.
いつも
I went back to the truck, put the wet tape back in, and sure enough, it worked. We didn't speak another word to each other the rest of the night.
Wow, I knew you were a crazy teenager, but
It's hard to believe, isn't it? Surprises
いや
me
本
too.
当に
It's like I
配
didn't really
信
know who
楽
that
しかっ
kid was
た
back
楽しんで
then.
もらえたんだろうなと思ってちょ
I
っと
bet my dad thought the same thing over and over.
嬉
It's
しい
almost
で
like
す
he
ね
was saying,
ミサ
make
ちゃん
this right to himself, more than to me.
もふもふもふただただお散歩をしておりまして登れないあ、こっち上から降りたらよかったのかなそうだね、あの面白さは初見じゃないとダメかもねもういつでも本気よでもチーズで定着してるのかないや、ピザで定着してますねアイリスちゃんに説明すると美里さんと私と他のフレンドさんとオーバークックをその美里さんのチャンネルで生配信してたんですよ。そこにコマさんが来てあれコマさんが来てあって来てなんて説明したらいいなんかちょっとあたふたしてる場面をあたふたしてる場面を目撃されたというすごいね、あたふたしてたの。これ上から降りたらよかったんだろうな。こっちに登れるかな。やってみよう。トントントントントン登れん。ここに記憶のかけらがあるはずなんだけど、ちょっと私が来るルート間違えちゃったかな。でもね、オーバークックっていう作品をやってたんですけど、4人でプレイしてて、もうなんか初見の人って多分誰が誰かわかんない中来て、なんかこうそれでも楽しんでくれたんだなっていうのが印象的で、あ、ジャンプしちゃったよ。あー、そっか、ジャンプしたら蝶々がいなくなっちゃうのか。もう一回。そう、その時にピザを作るオーバークックって料理をみんなで作るゲームなんだけど、なんだろうな、制限時間があってオーダー順に出すみたいな、そういうゲームで、はぁ、落ちる。そうで、本当にもう何みたいな、よくわかんない仕組みのまま始まって、なんかこう美里さんがまあちょっとチーズ担当で私が生地担当みたいな、詳しくは見てもらった方がいいのかもしれないけどそう、 あの状況だと誰が誰みたいな感じだよね。絶対わちゃわちゃ感も楽しんでいただければ幸いですという感じなんですけど、あ、待って、ここに蝶々がいた。なんかそのなんかコマさんは初見さんで来てて、多分一番あたふたしてた時に頑張れ頑張れたぬきち、たぬきちまだジャンプするんだ、君はジャンプできるたぬきち、そうそうそうそう、たぬきち頑張れ、たぬきちたぬきち力尽きるなずるずるずるやっぱ降りてこなきゃだったのかな。頑張れ頑張れたぬきち、まだいけるぞ。でそこでね、勝手にね、同じ一緒にやってた子がチーズ姉さんとか言っちゃうもんだから、そういうファーストインパクトが。たぬきち頑張るんだ、たぬきち諦めるな。ここはジャンプできんのかな、やっぱり。諦めますそう、チーズ担当だったの。チーズを背負うっていう、みんなのためにチーズを背負うあれね、私ね、まだ見返しちゃってる。ダメダメ、やめてアイリッシュちゃん、それはダメだ。ミサトさんをチーズ姉さんとは言わせない。ミサちゃんって。
You may have noticed there's a little pond here, and believe it or not, I tried
やめ
everything
て、
I
チーズ
could
は広
to
め
get
たくない、私
swimming
は。
working in this game, and I
ミ
just
サ
could
ちゃん、
not do it,
ミ
unfortunately.
サトさんを
And so all the water in this game you can just stand
広
in,
めたい、
which is
広め
it
たい
still like bums me out, but just the
や
systems were
だ、
not
説
working
明が悪すぎ
buggy.
た。
So I just had to throw it out, which, you know, I think it's okay. Like I wish it was there,
はい
but
ミサト
again,
さ
the
んで
focus
すね。
of this game
分
is
かってる、
on the
好
story.
き、そういうの。そういうのね、好き。あそこ行けんかったんかな。裏から行けばよかったのかな。え、蝶々を集めたら飛び越えれるんだ。チーズ好きだからいいんだけどね。ああ、私もチーズ好きだけどやっぱり私は最初に覚えてもらうんだったら名前がいいな。よし。でもさ、蝶々置いてきちゃうんだけど、どうしよう。蝶々置いてきちゃうな。ジャンプしたら蝶々がいなくなっちゃうんですよね。順番が大事なのかな。これさ、やっぱ3つあ、ね、これね、蝶々がいたら飛べるんです、ジャンプが。 さっき説明があってたから。ただジャンプしちゃうと蝶々が消えちゃうんですよ。ここを一番に来なきゃいけないんだな。いけいけいけ。よしよしよしよしよし。いけたよ。いやでもコマ
My
さんは
biggest hope for
ね
the
寝るっ
players
て
that
言
are
ってた
playing
のに
is that they
ミサちゃん
realize
登場
how
でチー
similar
ズを
these two parallel stories are of this
持って
fox
きて
looking
くれ
for her
るっ
missing
ていうの
cubs
がすごい
and
嬉しい。
also of this son reconnecting with his father. And so I try to add little touches in the voiceover and in the environment to help draw those parallels, even if they seem totally dissimilar. A big example is the truck, for instance, that Joseph grew up with. It's purple and yellow like the butterflies for this fox. So I tried to add as many touches like that throughout the story as
日
possible.
本語たまに出る。もうこれお散歩配信です。でもね、アーカイブには残さないと思う。残してもいいかな。どう思います？お前が決めろみたいなね。なんか語りかけてる男の人の記憶なのかな、パパとの。なんか変なこと言ってないかな。あれ？このキラキラ欲しいんだけど、ジャンプしたら蝶々もう一回集めなきゃいけない。今日はね、酔っ払ってないから変なことは言ってない。もう一回集めようか。あ、飛びすぎだよ、タヌキチ。バブって。ゲームオーバーとかないからふわふわしてるの寝起きだから。寝起きだからかな。でもそんな低血圧じゃないから寝起きもシャキリとしてます。夜中だからあんまりなんていうの、騒いだら家族が起きちゃうから、そこはやっぱり配慮しております。居候の身としての配慮。よいしょ、いいね。あ、音量変えたからかな。音量変えました。なんかちょっと配信見てて、なんかわっていう時があったんで、ちょっと音量の設定を変えました。なんか声がビリビリ してる？なんて言うんだろう、あれ。ビリビリする。音割れ？なんか音量をなんか目安的に考えてるのは、音量、そうそうそうそう、音量を半分のこの調節で気持ちよく聴けるぐらいを
My
目
friends
安
would
に
laugh about that night and talk about how crazy it was. And I laughed along, pretending it didn't
ち
bother
ょっ
me.
と大きかったなと思って。
I imagined my friends growing old in the bush, unable to find that thrill in those godforsaken ice fields. It's like those mountains were a literal wall, keeping me from leaving, where all I would have to look forward to are lumber yards and evening beers. I had to climb over. That was my only goal for a long time.
よし、オッケー。次のステージかな。たぬきちママ。怖いんだよ、降りるのが。ここ掘れワン。
If there was some way I could take my love of drawing and turn it into a way of escape, nothing would make me happier. I wanted to create instead of tearing trees down. I wanted to move to the lower 48, not because I hated
お
it
父さ
there
ん
in
が木こり
Alaska,
だったみたいです。
but I hated the idea of it. It's like all of that spite inside me had created this monster which followed me around my whole teenage years. I put so much energy into doing what others didn't expect of me. Why did I do that?
There's one fact you're forgetting, though. If you didn't have that fire in you, we probably would have never met.
You're absolutely right. Maybe the destination is all that matters in the end. But then why am I awake? Why am I seeing this fox go on her journey? And why can't I stop thinking about my dad?
ちゃん重要なの見てなかった。今重要なこと言ってた。まあいいや、お散歩です。皆さんもコメントをせずに寝てください。私は起きちゃったから仕方ね起きちゃったもんで。衝動的に買っちゃったんですよね。あ、怖い。ちょっと待って。あ、びっくりした。え？この足跡って犬の足跡みたいな感じ？まだ探検し足りてないのに。行きたいところまであったのに。いや、同じ場所だ。囲まれてるもんね。同じじゃない。
I did want to do something a little different with this level. I wanted it to be more open world feel and that there was something blocking your progress. So it did encourage people to look closely and see how to unlock this blocked way. And I do like just walking around this level and listening to the beautiful music by Josh Kramer. His work really sets the mood for the whole game.
まだ時期見て。私鳥のゲーム持ってる。キツネになって冒険するゲーム。キツネが今来てるんですかね。ね、こっち来ていいと思う？それともあっちに行った方がいいと思う？待ってね、今来たのがこう来たでしょ。こっちからこう来て、こっちの道にキラキラもあって、でもあっちの道にもキラキラがある。いいか、もう最初のこっち行こう。モフモフ。ミサちゃんもモフモフ好きだから。直感で 直感弱いんですよ。女の感とかはない。そして薬をですね、薬をなんと職場に忘れてしまって。
Almost all stories follow the same kind of structure, and it starts with an inciting event, and then there's rising action, and then there's a climax, and then there's falling action. And it's actually really difficult to make an interesting story where you only hear these two people talking, and it's spoken through a dream that's already happened. And the most of the action is about this animal that isn't directly related to this couple at all. So I don't know what I was thinking, but my hope was that it would create some interesting things and connections that I didn't see before. And that was kind of the whole exercise of making the first tree.
を別に分けて持ってくんだけど、まあいいや、持ってこうって思って、あっ、吉が生まれやっちゃったな。セキュリティ的に入れるかがちょっと、あ、いや入れん。そうやん、私カード持って帰ってきてないや。今ちょっと冷静になって考えたら、そうやん。でも出入りはあるはずなんですよね、誰かしら。待ち伏せするか。その単切りの体調の話とかしていいかな。単切りのお薬と咳止めの薬と抗生剤、これ夜薬飲む前に気がついちゃって、しもたなーって3A 3分の1、これ集めるんだ。こっから降りてみよう。ジャンプ。やっぱ怖い。下を見ないようにして。道に戻った方がいいかな。あそこにあるけん。説明も読まずにパッて買っちゃったからな。なんかお散歩、リサちゃんありがとう。もう皆さん時間も時間なのでお休みください。
On our property, there were old abandoned pieces of a shed and car long left unused. I used to ask him all the time who those people were that left all this junk, and I'm sure he got so tired of hearing it that he made up some elaborate stories how a brown bear ate them and haunted the woods afterwards. What's funny is I think it made those people seem more real, growing up thinking they were still hanging out like they couldn't say goodbye. I used to tell my friends how I could swear I saw spirits move near the water, and that always freaked them out. I guess it didn't bother me, because the way I saw it, they were normal people with old cars and sheds, just trying to figure out how to survive and be happy in the middle of nowhere. It was a cool thought that they didn't want to leave, but you know, I was a weird kid.
Well, you had good company since those ghosts like living in a place where they were brutally devoured.
Mi- 道があった。これはさっきので、あ、道じゃなかった。よし、ジャンプしよう。躊躇しちゃう。ピョンって行ってみよう。よし。はっ。トントントントン。ジャンプジャンプ。はっ。いや、今は私しかいないからゆっくりやろう。トントントントントントン。よしよし、いいね。ふんふん。かわいい。Music.
I don't think the first tree could work at all without the music by Josh Kramer. And his music, it's actually publicly available to license, and so it was affordable for me since this was a hobby project. And it's something I like to tell new indie developers all the time, like, you can't afford that composer, you can't afford a full-time programmer. You need to cut corners and finish your game, and the way to do that is to use these amazing publicly available assets that anyone can purchase and license. And so his music is incredible, and I actually haven't talked to him that much, I've just emailed him. But his music was nominated for Most Emotional Music at the Emotional Game Awards in France, and he's just a really nice guy. And I think there's so much amazing content out there that if you're thinking of making a game, like, look around and see what you can make work on a tight budget, because it worked really well for the first tree.
これ A ボタンやなかったかな。スイッチだよ、やぶたし。やぶたさんも課題やるか寝るかの BGM にしてもらえれば嬉しゅうございます。これはね、私スイッチしか持ってない。スイッチがデビューゲームの。
Even at my most distant, at the times when I detested him the most, he kept
やぶたさ
reaching
んも
out.
スイッチ買いますか？
For a year straight, he asked me every week when we were going camping. I thought he was just dense. Eventually, to shut him
朝
up, I
用事がある
agreed.
なら早寝たがいいです
He
よ。
carried out the
布団
worn
か
lawn
ぶっ
chairs
て
from the
目を
garage
つぶって
and set up a cinder block campfire at the site we'd always used
そした
behind
ら
our
眠れ
house.
る。
We walked down the mountain path, talking in
8
the
時
warm
に寝たら
sunshine we only got a couple months of the
そ
year.
うね、
Those 3 obsidian rocks shimmered
眠
alongside
た
the
かっ
shore,
たんだろうね。
almost like sparklers pressed against a dark window. I'll never forget that wet stone on my feet, or how those massive mountains looked even bigger in the lake's reflection. I felt small, but grateful. As the
羊を
sun
日
set,
本語で数
my
えて
dad
も
found
眠
something
れ
I
る
hadn't
気し
seen
な
for
い
a
し
long
ね。
time. The tree where I'd made my first carving when I was 6. I hadn't even
そうだ
carved
ね。
it. My dad had helped me, but I still called it my tree.
そう。
Something about seeing my name there made me open up, and we talked about everything that night in that old camouflage tent.
でも
I told him how much I love sketching and
寝
design,
落ちできるよう
and
な
how
配
it would be
信
a
かちょっ
dream
と
to study
わかんないけ
architecture
ど。
in Seattle. I told him how I didn't get along with my friends much anymore, but that I didn't mind being alone. He told me he was there for me, and he joked that if all he had to do was write my name on a tree to finally get me
こ
to
の
talk,
ゲーム音を
he
楽
would
しん
let
で
me
くだ
carve
さい。
logs with novels on them in front of my
無言
room
に
every
な
morning.
るかもしれない。
I don't know why it took me that long to realize it, but it was then I knew how much he had sacrificed for
で
me.
も薬が風邪薬が切れてなんか詰まった感じなんでギャーギャー言わずにちょうどいいかもしれない。あそこにも光があるな。オープンワールド戻ってきた？戻ってきたね。こっちから戻ってきたね。こっちからぐるっと行ってね。じゃあ次こっちだ。
I did want to do something a little different with this level. I wanted it to be more open world feel, and that there was something blocking your progress, so it did encourage people to look closely and see how to unlock this blocked way. And I do like just walking around this level and listening to the beautiful music by Josh Kramer. His work really sets the mood for the whole game. My
dad built a lot of stuff in his free time. If he wasn't watching fly fishing or reading Tom Clancy novels, he was carving something. He made tons of birdhouses. Not that he was into bird watching, but I think he really missed working and adding on to the home. If he couldn't afford the time to build onto our own house, he would have to settle with watching birds move into their little homes. We kept an old mattress in the bed of that ugly yellow truck, so we would drive it deep into the woods and then watch the birds fly into their houses while the sun set. Usually it was accompanied by venison jerky or a cold Coke, but not a lot of talking, which is how we both liked it.
Earlier I said I just love going through video games and exploring, like looking at every nook and cranny and just trying to find little details. And I think that started because in middle school and high school, I would make mods for my favorite games, namely Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast, and Far Cry. And I loved like this huge world of mod makers who would make these levels and it'd be like the most random creative things, and I would just love exploring, usually multiplayer levels by myself. So even though I went to college for film, before that, like before high school, I was making video games and mods, and it was my favorite thing in the world. I made a ton of different levels. I made an abandoned space hotel with a dance floor and cafeteria. I made a haunted campground with cabins and tents. I made this whole city with like the first ever day-night cycle with running showers and stuff in the hotel and the apartment buildings. And I just loved making those mods, and I think that carries over to my game, The First Tree, and also the one before that, Home is Where One Starts, which is it's exploration. You're just looking around and appreciating the details.
Keyboard. Hum. 頑張れためっち。いいぞ。
We were happiest underneath the evergreens. We decided it was time to finally map out the hundreds of acres we lived on just to pass the time during the summer. He was only free in the evenings, so I would spend the day wasting time on dial-up internet and sketching, and then we would rush into the woods, pen and map in hand, before evening fell. Sometimes, the aurora borealis would cast a cold green glow on the mountainside, and we would finish our route underneath a twilight sky. Sometimes I was lonely during those summer days, but there was comfort in the routine.
A lot of teenagers aren't looking for the daily grind, though. There's nothing wrong with wanting to get out, to leave your childhood home. You wanted to progress, to make something of yourself.
Yeah, you're right. That house. I'm sure it's the same as how I left it. But then why does it feel so different?
I doubt you're the only adult to have looked back and asked that question.
緑がいいな。道がある。いいね。ちょっと待って。オッケー。よし、行こう。あの間行くんだね。待って。足場系が苦手なのでもう一回だ。よし。わお。いや、こっちもルートかな。よし。見つけた。とりあえず3つ集めたよ。くしゃみが出そうです。暗いなぁ。登れないのかな。光の柱はここだったのかな。 やでもあるもんな、あっこに。それがさっきのだったのかな。光に近くなると見えなくなっちゃうのかな。でこれを取ったから OK と。いいね。戻ろう。結構すぐ迷子になっちゃうな。こっちで合ってる？いいね。よいしょ。座り直して。難しい。はっ！よし。そっち見て。よしよ。
The perpetrator stood nearby, unfazed, like nothing was wrong. My dad is dead, and he's never coming back, Rachel. I can tell you these stories, but I can never reminisce with him again. He can never hold a grandchild that we'll probably never be able to have. I can never talk to him again, and I'll never be able to say I'm sorry for everything.
It was really important to me that the wolf in this story that takes the fox's cubs, that it wasn't explained at all. Like it's just this entity that's in the background. And of course it's supposed to represent something bigger than a wolf or even a fox. It's supposed to represent like the specter of death. And it comes when you least expect it. There's no justification. He's just there, always watching.
怖い。この断崖絶壁。そう。ミサちゃん、ヤプタさんガチ勢だから。 さん、もちろんヒロンヌ。怖いね。ゆゆさん、やぶたさん。降りるってか、断崖絶壁よこれ。なんかかっこいい。あおー。あ、違うか、キツネだからコーンか。間違えた。ミサちゃん惜しい。かわいこちゃん。あ、怖いよ。取れるかな。取り逃がしたかな。ちょっとね、怖い。空飛ぶ系ならまだいいんですけど、落ちるのはちょっと。怖い。取れないし、怖い。あ、取れた。怖い。モンハンとかの落ちる系怖いんですよ。あ、登れんじゃん。ねえ、苦手。爪がもげるわ。キツネも猫科なのかな。キツネか。取れた。いけるぞこれ。戻れるかな。いやでもこれ無理じゃないかな。そんな崖っぷち犬みたいなことしないよね。やっぱダメっぽい。気はよいよい。高いところ、鳥のゲーム買ったのはやってないんですけど、落ちるとかじゃなくて飛ぶ系だからやれた。高いところ怖いってよりか落ちるのが怖い。すごい自然がいっぱい。キツネは犬か。犬赤らしい。犬なんだ。滑ってる。もうね、ブルー画面が眠気を妨げちゃうんで、パタリと閉めましょうね。すごいな。すいませんね、私の視点だからぐるぐるなっちゃう。光の塔がないからどこを目指すんだろう。無駄にジャンプしちゃったりして。5人寝てるんだよ。ミサちゃん寝てるんだよ。みんななんか優しいからお腹鳴っちゃった。お腹空いてきた。多分アイリスちゃんとかもいろんな人が来て真夜中にやってんなと思って寝てるんだと思うな。あ、見つけたよ。 長時間やると私パソコンの関係で多分配信ができなくなるんですけど、まだできてる。グラフィックが簡単っていうか、あれなのか、複雑じゃないのかな。なんでヨッシー配信はああやって落ちるというか不具合があるのかなと思って。任天堂怒ってるから難しいのかな。キツネかわいい。
I need to go to bed.
そうだよね。
I just can't talk about this anymore. Good night.
もう寝なきゃ。話してくれないの？このお話は？お父様とのお話は？ねえ、スピード処理がね、どうしてもスペックがちゃんと犬飼わなきゃな。あ、ねえミサちゃんまだ起きてるよね。ねえゆゆちゃんとやりたい、マリカ。もちろん夜空さんも入ってもらって大丈夫です。ほなねえ、お腹好きかって言ってますけど手元にあるならば私もゆゆちゃんと一戦交えたい。ねえ、スプラもしたいな。いやでもやっぱマリカだな、ゆうちゃんは。一緒にできるやつしたい。夜空さんが持ってるやつで。お腹がすごい鳴る。グーグー言ってる。お？幻想的な、もう終わりが近いのではないでしょうか。
Joseph, you can't go to sleep feeling like this. I'm sorry for everything, and I know you need space, but I'm here for you.
彼女
You
は
don't
献
need
身
to
的
feel
で
so
すね。
lost. Joseph, have I ever told you what my mother was like?
今度は女性の物語になるのかな。わあ、これ迷子になる案件なのでは。遠いのかな、こっち。ただのお星様か。光の柱を追ってこう。距離感がつかめない距離感がわからなすぎる。
Hello, my name is Elise Whaley, and I was the voice actress for Rachel. I'm also David's wife. So that was convenient for working together. I was actually the voice actress for his first game, Home is Where One Starts, and I guess that I did a good enough job that David wanted me back, so I did the voice acting for this one as well. David definitely coached me through it because I'm pretty inexperienced when it comes to that. Home is Where One Starts was my first time ever doing voice acting of any kind.
鶴をね
And we watched a
12
lot of
匹おったっ
trailers
て
of
言
movies
っ
we
てた
liked to get the voice right of female leads who were talking in the trailer and try to mimic that and bring that into the game so that had the right kind of feel and the right kind of atmosphere for the voice. My character actually is the same character from Home is Where One Starts. If you've played that game, you probably connected that together. And this is her probably about 15 years later, maybe 20 years later in this game. I was happy to revisit the character of Rachel. We kind of leave her in an ambiguous spot in Home is Where One Starts. It definitely ends on a hopeful note, but there's not a lot of details. And in this game, you see that she's able to move on through a lot of her issues that she had from her abusive home and be able to start her own family and start a new cycle without that abuse, which I think is really inspiring.
You know what it's like not to have a mom at home. And you know how hard that made my childhood. What helped me was watching the birds in the morning before the school bus came. I thought that my mother was one of those birds, and it made me want to be free like her. My mom taught me how to fold origami cranes while she was in the hospital. So I told myself I would fold one every day until I could fly myself. I think we both have always loved animals, and for me that love started with a dog. Sometimes this Rottweiler would come up to our property line and wait at the fence for me, but only once in a while. I was sure to check every day immediately after school, and it usually ended in disappointment. I would even steal money from my passed out dad just so I could buy these off-brand dog biscuits. Even when she did stop by, she never went beyond the fence. Why was she so scared?
So it's always interesting working with your spouse because, especially on a creative project, because they want your feedback, but it's something that's also dear to their heart, and they're dear to your heart, and you definitely don't want to hurt their feelings. So I was a little nervous when David asked me, he had finally finished writing the script, and he asked me to go over it and see what I thought. And I had minored in English. I majored in art, but I minored in English, so I felt like I had a little bit of experience. But I was definitely like a little scared because you don't want to be too harsh, but you also want to be honest. And it was the biggest relief when I read the script, and I was like, oh, good. My husband's a good writer. I don't have to change that much about this, just a few like grammatical things. And that was just like the biggest relief for me because it can be a tricky balance working with your spouse and making sure that that honesty is there, but also that love and the support is there as well.
I think my dad was the opposite of your dad in almost every way, except he was in the military as well. He coped with alcohol of every kind. The trailer started falling apart, he got angry, and I withdrew. More and more I became the weird, quiet kid who made lots of origami birds and carried dog biscuits around. I think we were pretty similar when it came to being the weird kids. And that same sincerity in college was one of the reasons I was so drawn to you. Life got worse and worse, and at one point, I really didn't think I could survive another day with my soul still intact. I had no real friends, let alone neighbors, since we lived in the middle of nowhere. I should have talked to my teacher, but I was scared what he would do if he found out. As I waited for the school bus one morning, I walked around until I found something in an abandoned shed. Something I can't put into words.
So we're talking about Home is Where One Starts a lot, so if you haven't played that game, maybe this doesn't make as much sense, or maybe this is a little plug that you should go play it. But in that game, it actually features one of my artworks. I work as an artist and paper cutting, actually. And David used one of my artworks as a graffitied stencil in Home is Where One Starts that's against the wall of this shack. And it actually shows up again in the first tree, just a fragment of it. The first tree, the title actually comes from one of my artworks that I made back in 2015, I want to say. And I made this artwork while I was pregnant with our first child. and it had a lot of meaning for me, and David actually helped me come up with the title. And he asked, because I was really struggling, I was like, I have no idea what to call this, and I always go to David for title ideas and to bounce ideas off of him, and that's like the only way I can ever come up with a title is by talking with him. So we were talking back and forth and looking at this artwork, and he said, well, what kind of like movies or shows were you watching while you're making the artwork? Because my work's pretty tedious, so sometimes I'll watch a show or do some Netflix binging while I'm creating it. And I was like, oh, I actually watched Tree of Life a ton. And then we're like, Tree of Life. And we started thinking more about that, and then arrived at the first tree. So it started off as one of my artworks and then became a part of David's art, which I think is really cool that we were able to share that title.
You have strength, Joseph, and you're not as alone as you think.
It's all just so pointless. Just waiting for life to happen.
メンヘラ
It's
男
like having the home I always wanted is cursed out of my reach. The thought of being a parent myself.
あ取り逃が
How
しちゃ
could
っ
I
た
do that when I couldn't even be a good son? I'm sorry. I know what you're saying. I just don't know how things will work out. These quiet hours will turn into years. We'll wonder which roads passed us by.
Then we'll forge a new road together. Besides, I discovered for myself that one fateful morning where any hopeful road leads to. There may be thorns and mist, but it always leads to the same thing.
And what's that?
Family.
ファミリ
I'm so glad that you're part of my family, Rachel.
ー女の人がレイ
And I'm
チェ
glad
ル
you're
か
part of mine.
A question I get a lot is why a fox? And it ties into just how important family is for me. And Fox is actually a family name from my wife's side, from Elise. And she always heard about the legacy of the
1年
Fox
だったらこっ
family.
ちかな
And because of that, growing up, it was her favorite animal. She even made these 2 wooden foxes for our wedding cake toppers. So I thought it would be cool to have that animal in the game while these 2 people are having this conversation in the middle of the night.
鹿だちょっと散策しようこれは綺麗だねこうやってちょっとね思い出とかなんかこう記憶のかけらみたいなのを見ながらやってますなんか油断しちゃうと次のステージにさっと行っちゃうから困っちゃうベッドかなそう引き返せないからどこまで行っていいかがわかんないの初めの方のはね取り逃がしてるでも動物のところ行きたいよね洗濯機なんか不法投棄じゃない多分これは仮想のわおなんか思い出ですこのメンヘラ男の聞 こりじゃなくて絵描きがどうのって言ってたもん。森で木を切るんじゃなくて絵を描いてたんですかね。なんかパパが戦車を木で作ってくれたって言ってた。私もともと実は動物が好きで、犬に噛まれる前まではだからダーウィンとか未だに見るし、動物番組結構見るんですよ。ね、シェパードとなんかの雑種のすんごい大きい犬に中学2年生の時に噛まれちゃったから、お尻をめちゃめちゃに怖くて、顔も怖いし、もう口の尖った系の犬はちょっと猫はね、岩愛さんの番組がおすすめ。それ私はちょっと知らなかったな。なんかこう猫とか犬とかに限らず、いろんな世界の動物とかへんてこ動物特集みたいなの楽しんでます。岩合さんこっちに行きたいけど、ちょっと散歩していこう。こっちなんもないかな。ねえ、小学生の時は生き物係で飼育係とかもしてたから、クラス内のカメとかメダカとかの餌やりしたり、夏休みとか連れて帰ったりして、飼育係はチャボとかウズラとかウサギがいたから、それのお世話してましたね。チャボとか久々に言った気がする。何チャボって鶏だと思うんだけど、チャボってなんだこれ。でもちょっと待って、ここに行く前にちょっと散策させて。先には行けない、まだ行けない。先に動物のとこ行ってこよう。こっちにも光がある。もしかしたら逆走してるかもしんないな。ちょっと待って待って待って待って待って、落ちるな落ちるな。カカカカカカって待ってって言ったじゃん。落ちちゃった、ズリズリ。もう肉球ダメージ大よ。ちょっとぐるっとこっちから回って にありましたね、この子たちもね。バンビちゃん。お寿司が怖いな。鹿じゃないかこれ。トナカイ。ヤックル。奈良って今鹿が多いって言ってた。奈良行ったことないな。大仏も見たことないし、鹿も見たことないし、鹿せんべいも食べさせてあげたことないし。いや、これさ、こっちから抜けてった気がするけど、ちょっと逆走しますね。違う、そこと違うんだ。もう自然がいっぱいすぎてわかんないや。まあお散歩だから。次のとこ行きそうな気するな。あっちなんもないかな。繋がってるかもしれないね、方向的に向こうと。あ、道は続いてるでしょう。わからんけど。グリグリしてます。よし、登ってこう。はい、よいしょ。わお、ちょうどいい感じに階段になってます。あ、100いったよ。よいしょ。ほほほ。いいね。任天堂だったら隠しがあるけど、こっちは隠しないかな。ないね。
fox knew her last cub would be waiting for her at the first tree. She
ノ
was
ブコが
almost
始まり
there.
の木の下で待っていることを
The
知ってい
rain
た。
cascaded onto the jade
Muktekichi
valley
まで
where
あと
the
少しだ。
entrance to the tree was. Life was protected there, because that's where life began.
入り口で雨が。
It was now only a mother and a daughter left. Items from my life still dotted the ground as she moved closer to her destination and destiny.
待って、ちゃんと読んでなかった。ちゃんとさ、読んでなかったからさ、もうちょっとゆっくりしてほしいな。怖いよね。あっちに行くんだろうな。どうやって行く？こう行くか？怖いよ、暗くて。よいしょ。頑張れ。フォックス。まあ光は道しるべみたいなもんだから。よいしょ。わっ、危ねえ。怖いやん。降りるしかないのか。怖い。雨が降ってるね。なんかないかな。ないね。明日起きれるかいな。下手すぎか？たぬきち頑張れ。もう一回。もう一回。そうだ。低空だな。トントン。嬉しいね。トントン。なんでだ。トントン。トントン。もう一回トントン。ですね。トントン。トントン。トントン。頑張れ。たぬきち。トントン。もう一回。トントン。トントン。トントン。下手すぎる。深い。チェックして。
Usually what catches people's attention of the first tree is the visuals, of course. And I was inspired by a lot of people making these levels. The second level is inspired by just these beautiful autumn photos of a real forest. And this level, the Jade Valley, is inspired by the artwork of Heather Penn, who did the Overland games. I just love those greens with a lot of gray in it. I love the strong vignettes in the corners of the frame. And of course, this environment pack was made by the very talented Swedish designer Mikael Gustafsson. And of course, his initial designs inspired me, and I was able to build off of that. And I'm really grateful that he allowed his environment pack to be made publicly available.
スパシルのみよ。
At the end of high school, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Drive. I looked into the best architecture schools on the West Coast, then got a dose of reality when looking at other students' portfolios and the high cost of tuition. I still wanted to be something, to be the next Alvaro Siza, and to make those thousands of sketches worth something in my
やっぱ
grand
お金っ
history.
てかかりますよ
But
ね。
now even an internship sounds impossible. Siza helped me understand how essential emotion is in architecture, and he also said light is the real composer of space. I like to think these glints of light, like not finding a job, or even a strange dream about a fox, are something I should be thankful for, even if the illuminated space is something I'm less than comfortable with.
よし、たどり着いたから。
By now, you've probably caught on to some of the themes I love to explore in these stories. And the big one is of this tree, the first tree on Earth. And a lot of people have asked me, what does that mean? Why a tree? And basically, it boils down to this delicate balance between nature and its relationship with life and death. And I love these stories where they put like these microscopic relationships, like something of like a father and a son, and juxtapose it next to this epic story of like the creation of the universe and the first tree on Earth, and how they can be equally as important, because in my mind, like, my family is as important as like the creation of the Earth. And it reminds me of like some of the stories I love, like The Road by Cormac McCarthy, or The Tree of Life by Terrence Malick. Basically, I wanted to make sure the player felt that there was a higher power than themselves, and that there was something watching over them as they went through this story.
My dad was super supportive with my college plans. To a point. Things were okay until this terrible accident happened. I guess a forklift flipped over due to a bad axle, and it crushed one of the workers there. My dad didn't eat for days, even though he wasn't directly involved. It devastated him. Not only did it hurt the business, but it just freaked him out.
すごい事故
He
だ。
would talk in his sleep, muttering things about firing people and saying sorry. One fateful day he approached me, said that since my school search wasn't going well, I should finally be a man and take over the family business. He said one day he was going to die, and that all of his work, sacrifice, and even that man's life would be wasted in vain. I just lost it. Teenage me just exploded at the thought. I screwed up. I said things I shouldn't have. He was having a crisis, and I pretty much spit in his face.
向こうも気になるけど、こっちの家も気になる。こっちから行くか。だんだん冷えてきてる。いやでもこっち行ったら次のページ、次のとこに来そうだな。大丈夫かな。あ、家には行けないのかな。じゃあそっち行こうか。いや、家に行けるかな。資材置き場があって、頑張れ頑張れ。よいしょ。作業場だったのかな。これは入れないから下りまーす。向こうに行こう。引っかかっちゃった。はあ、眠たい。今眠たいって言っちゃった。あともう少しで終わる気するから終わらせたいな。 ルしながら行こう。あ、救急車だ。登りたい。よし。事故を振り返るのかな。宿っとくか。トレーラー、フォークリフトみたいな。本当はこっちに行くんだろうけど、ちょっと寄り道します。あ、こっちで当てんのか。じゃあ取っといてよかったね。苦手すぎる。低いか。もう一回行くよ。ほい。苦手だ。ほい。な。ほい。嬉しいね。ひとひとぴっちゃん。ひとぴっちゃん。入院してたのかな。絵もある。
In the distance, the first tree illuminated the wasteland. She couldn't go home anymore. She did the only thing she was capable of. Moving forward. My dad died alone in the middle of the wilderness. I should have been talking to him more. I should have done a lot of things differently.
If the first tree on Earth brought life with it, if it taught the birds to sing and fly and showed saplings how to grow, what could it do for us?
Obviously, this is a really emotional part, but I'm going to talk through it anyway. A lot of people correctly identify that Journey was like a huge inspiration for the first tree. And this part, it is like a callback to that part where you're climbing up the mountain with your friend you don't know, and it just gets snowier and snowier, and you just keep going, and then eventually you collapse. And that part, that made a huge impact on me. And I don't even own a PlayStation 3 or 4. I rented a PlayStation from like a rent-a-center right after completing Home is Where One Starts, just because I'd heard so much about it. And everyone was right, it was a very impactful game, and it definitely inspired the first tree.
There was a letter I received yesterday from a name I didn't recognize, with a quote I can't stop thinking about. Death is not the opposite of life, but a part of it. More and more, I'm realizing one important truth. Each of us have our own journey to the first tree. But sometimes I'm not sure I'm ready to take that first step.
You already have my love.
吉はこう答える。やっぱ家族ですからね。いや、ありがとう。いや、ベタこそ王道。でも127文字いけるんか。愛してるだな。お母さんだし。
I guess her journey was over. But I have no idea. It was only a dream. A distraction from tomorrow.
I don't think dreams normally bring back to memory so many important feelings. Maybe it was just a dream, but it was also a gift.
Yeah, I suppose. But tomorrow we're getting on a plane to the last place on Earth I want to be. The only person that would have made the trip worth it is gone.
You're going to see him and be with him one last time before you say goodbye. I have one last quote for you by Emerson, sealed in an imaginary letter from me to you. It is the secret of the world that all things subsist and do not die, but only retire a little from sight and afterward return again. Go to sleep, my love. We have a big day tomorrow, but I'll be there with you every step of the way.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. Good night, Rachel.
Good night, Joseph.
Rachel. Good night, Joseph. Good night, 猫助。いや、Good night, 猫助。猫助さんまだ起きてたの？目をつぶって眠れ。目をつぶって眠れ。そして、電源を落としましょう。6ヶ月後2度目の起床。おや？あ、私が操作してる。ジョセフか？あ、隣にいるじゃん。すごいゴミが散乱してますね。わかんない。鏡に映ってない。あ、話しかけるのかな？起こして。こしょこしょこしょこしょ。あ、枕の下に私手突っ込んじゃうタイプで。あそこ。いや、あそこに光がある。行かなきゃ。 うやってあげる。あ、いた。びっくりした。
You're probably thinking, what is going on? And that was definitely my intention for this epilogue part of the first tree. This is my favorite part. This is the part I'm most proud of. And it definitely, like, it's supposed to evoke this, like, what is going on? Where am I? I was not expecting this. When I was marketing and blogging about making the game, I never showed anyone this part. I never told anyone. I never shared screenshots. I wanted it to be a complete surprise. And I also wanted it to feel a little creepy because it's totally inspired by those nights where you wake up in the middle of the night and you can just hear the sounds of the wind outside the house and you can't sleep. So you walk around in this like twilight stupor. And I would say the whole first part of this game where you play as the fox, its whole purpose is to set up for this conclusion. So yeah, I would encourage you to look around and see how many things you recognize from the earlier part of the game.
暖炉だ。あったけー。明日起きれるかな。明日予定大丈夫ですか、猫助さんは。わー、満点レストラン。満点星空レストラン。トレーラー。の基地で近くまで来たなあ。でもあの家とは違う。決して寝てください。
I tried hard to foreshadow this epilogue just because I wanted it to be a surprise, but I didn't want it to feel too out of place that it would be humorous. And so Joseph, earlier in the game, he would say things like, I felt like I was right behind the fox the whole time. In my mind, the camera perspective acts as a metaphor for who the player is, what they're seeing. If the camera represents Joseph, or just like that video game trope of having the camera follow you. I guess the big question I wanted the player to ask themselves, is this a dream as well? And if so, does that even matter?
What わかんとかいな。わかんねえ。顔ターすれば4時間ほど寝てる。それ寝てませんから。は、どうした？寝てないことに気がついたのかな。だって私が寝てた時多分猫助さん配信してましたもんね。あ、ジャンプできないのか。走れる？すごい。走れるの今知ったよ。ちんたら歩いてんじゃないよ。あそこに行かなきゃ。いやでも 人だから生きる道といけない道があるのか。ね、配信1時間ぐらいちょっと見たらやってたみたいだもん。夜の道怖いよね。ホタル。なんでホタル診断？違うな。なんだっけどうやって行くんだこれ。進めないよ。家から行くのかな。家に戻ります。レッツゴー。お兄ちゃん名前何でしたっけ？セータさん？セイジさん？あのお兄ちゃん好き。うちのお兄ちゃんと取り替えっこしてほしかったもん。ゆうちゃなんやけど降りれないよね。セータさん？ねえ。あ、ジャンプができる。ということは、いけるぞ、これ。こっちからじゃない。あっちからか。なんか暗闇が迫ってるみたいで怖い。あ、普通に、いや、いけない。まだミッションクリアしてないとこ？ジャンプできない、ここまでしか。キツネで自由気ままに動いてたから、柵があるから柵のところ行けってことか。何の音これ？あ、これ私独り言なんで。パチって言ったから怖かった。ドラム缶。これだな。暗いな。こっちはいけない。あ、テントに行け。テントってこっちだったっけ？迷子になっちゃった。あたたたたたた。 入れた。ん？
What the hell?
フォックス。待って、たぬきち待って。
I purposefully fade out the crosshair in the middle of the screen because I wanted it to be a direct callback to the camera following the fox in the first 5 levels of the first tree. I wanted it to go for that gut reaction that this was very familiar, yet totally in a different world.
下ってきました。喉が鳴った。鼻が詰まってきた。喉が詰まってきた。ああ。 全くわかりません。あ、違うルートから来ちゃった。こっちに来たかったんだ。たぬきちは。ちょっと回り込みましょう。よし。では仕切り直しということで。
Thank you for making it to the end of my game. And I hope you enjoy the personalized message that is featured on the trunk of this tree. It's a message submitted by another player that's retrieved from a database, and it's retrieved at random. And I did this because I wanted people, even if they feel alone through trials of death, that there is a community, an invisible community supporting each other. So thanks for playing.
The first tree. あー、最後もたついちゃったけどよかったな。みんなお休みしながら見てくれたんだな。ちょっとエンディングが終わるまで流しますが、最後までご視聴ありがとうございました。コメントいただきました。アイリスちゃん、ネコスケさん、みかんちゃん、コマさん、みさちゃん、やったさん、おやすみなさい。まあキツネの散歩のつもりでしたけど、楽しくあんまり理解はしてないですけど、ゲームできました。クリアかな。それでは配信を終わります。おやすみなさい。